Yes, sometimes we're hurting. Sometimes we don't want to smile, but we have to keep smiling. But right now it's our desire for you to smile if you'd like to receive tickets to the Kirk Franklin concert. Call the number 210-785-9227. 210-785-9227. Houston, Texas, I understand that Kirk is going to be there first. But I want you to know you can call and see him again. Just call the number. Gonzales, Waco, around San Antonio, no matter where you are. Lockhart, Texas, Seguin, Texas. There we go. The phones are now ringing. Call the number 210-785-9227. Right now we have Dr. Batts coming to us, and he's going to be sharing with you. Dr. Batts, how are you?
I'm well.
Hey, man, you're a member of Macedonia Baptist Church.
I am.
Okay. And so if anybody's ever in need of a heart transplant, amen, share with us while we're still smiling.
Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all in regards to cardiovascular health and preventive health, understanding that it is a major problem in our community. Oftentimes, we see a disparity between what goes on in, let's say, majority society and individuals who maybe don't have access, number one, or don't have information in regards to overall cardiovascular health. Now, the problem with that is that the problem's still there. The issues are still there, but individuals approach things in such a way to say that, well, it's a choice, it's a decision between do I, garnish better health for myself, or do I buy gas, or do I do other things. What we want to try to provide is ways to change lifestyle in an effort to improve your overall health, understanding, as it was mentioned earlier, that 80 to 90% of the problems that we face in regards to cardiovascular health are directly proportional to what we do, unfortunately, to ourselves, albeit by diet, albeit by inactivity, and even by just the other things that we do. So we try to provide different outlets, albeit with education, to inform folks of how to protect yourself in that way.
Okay. What age should you really start looking and really being concerned at this?
It's funny that you mentioned that. Previously we thought we approached prevention from one aspect. It's called primary prevention. We say once you have risk factors that were mentioned earlier, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, obesity, once you have those, then we focus on you. Well, we've realized through multiple research, multiple data points, that that's too late, actually. And so what we're trying to do is shift to a more European model called primordial prevention. And you say, man, these are some odd words. But primordial prevention means that you look at basically 13-year-old kids. You look at 10-year-old kids. You look at kids even 8, 7, 6 years old and identify areas where you could improve. Hence the push to teach kids education in school, hence the push to try to get kids more active. There was data from the 1950s that saw atherosclerotic plaques or heart disease in healthy basic trainees that were 16 and 17 years old. And so we realized by the time we see the risk factors, it's almost too late. It's like you're trying to stop an avalanche from rolling downhill when the ball has already started rolling.
Okay, now you have a woman who is pregnant, who may have diabetes. She may be suffering with one of these sicknesses that you mentioned, and gives birth to a child. Can that affect the child?
It can. You mentioned pregnancy, and in that group there are special consideration that one must take into account. Understanding that the risk of hypertension, independent of whatever a woman's risk is, increases incrementally in the setting of pregnancy. Furthermore, there is weight gain that occurs, and so individuals who are, let's say, borderline in terms of controlling their blood sugars or different things like that, again, it increases that risk. And then furthermore, onto the child, we speak of specific risk that could impact him in regards to the pregnancy in and of itself. But again, the same factors that may cause the mom to eat or be obese or do those type things, again, are in that environment that affect the child.
Now, if we're talking about gestational diabetes, and that's when it's set in place, is it possible for them to deliver the child and then still deal with diabetes right after it will continue to stick around?
Yes. So, what happens in that case is we hope that most folks with delivery, the diabetes or the abnormalities that occur in blood sugar would abate. But we know just by epidemiologic data that, approximately 30 to 40% of those folks still have some underlying what we call glucose intolerance, meaning that their numbers aren't frankly, diagnostic for diabetes. However, they're in a range where we know that they're at increased risk for cardiovascular disease. And a smaller proportion of those folks do go on to maintain, an ambient blood sugar level that would characterize them as having diabetes.
So what would you recommend to patients who might have diabetes, or they might have a heart issue, or they might have clots within their legs, and they're not able to exercise or get back into the swing of things like that? What would you recommend for them to do? Because that's something you should do on top of eating well. So how would you get them to at least do something?
Do something. So I'll do exactly what you said. Do something. There's a gospel song out called "Do Something." And part of the problem is we get complacent in the fact that, well, I can't do what I used to. Well, I can't run a mile. I can't do this. I can't go upstairs. But if you just walk 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes 4 times a week, that would be better than doing nothing. And what I tell my patients is, hey, look, I'm not asking you to go run a marathon. What I am asking you to do is to just commit yourself to something that you can do at least 4 times a week, and then slowly build it up. Because the more you do, as we mentioned earlier, the better you feel. The body has hormones called endorphins that are released when we engage in physical activity, and you can't tap into those unless you exercise for an extended period of time. Extended for some folks might be 10, 15 minutes. Others it might be 30 or 40. Again, we would like folks to exercise at least 30 minutes a day for more days of the week than not, so i.e. at least 4 days a week. But, I understand that due to whatever limitations individuals have, they may not be able to achieve that goal right off the bat, so to speak.
When you're dealing with patients who are capable of getting heart attacks, or a part of their heart does die, that part of the muscle does not grow back. You can't get that back. Only thing that happens is you get blood vessels that try to cover the area to try to accommodate for that. So what if a person were to exercise and eat right and they are fairly healthy? Would that still be a concern for them in the long run if they change everything about their lifestyle? If they start living right, they start eating right, will that still be an issue, or it won't anymore down the long? You understand what I'm asking?
You're speaking of, I guess, an individual who's had a heart attack for whatever reason and has what's called a myocardial infarction,
right,
meaning that part of their heart has died. And then your question is, well, I've had a heart attack. What do I do? If I exercise, will that bring back that dead heart, so to speak, with that? Well, unfortunately not. We can infuse all the medicines we want, but we can't infuse heart tissue. However, as you mentioned, the body, the Lord has blessed us with regenerative properties. Again, not growing back heart tissue, but growing, as you mentioned, angiogenesis, blood vessels to areas that may not be completely dead, or as we would term them, hibernating. That hibernating myocardium is a place where, again, we try to make impacts and inroads. But again, it starts with exercise. It starts with taking the medicines that you were prescribed. And so again, will they get that dead heart back? No, but will they be able to improve what we call their functional status, by exercise, keeping their blood pressure down, working on their cholesterol, maintaining their diabetes at a favorable level. So all those things could impact them, importantly, down the road. Again, I know a lot of people get disheartened. I have patients that come in and, they do everything they can, young patients, and, still have a heart attack. And, unfortunately, I say there's nothing we can do about your genetics. But what we can do is try to augment or do what's called risk factor modification, take you as low as risk as we can in the hopes to improve your outcomes down the road.
Doctor, now, as I mentioned, a few weeks ago I went to the doctor and they said that some tissue around my heart had died. And they told me to take baby aspirin. And because one of the first questions I asked them when they said, I said, well, how can we get that tissue to grow back? And they said, you can't. I think you just mentioned that. But what can I do now, because I've lost something, besides taking baby aspirin, and I know to exercise, but my concern is that now that I'm getting ready, like next week, to go into to go into a doctor's office, and they're going to be running some tests. So what should I be looking for?
Well, again, big things you're going to be looking for are controlling those risk factors to improve. So, again, the heart, as we know, is a muscle, right? So if we take a muscle and we load it with a whole lot of pressure that we have to push against, guess what? The muscle has to work harder. So that's blood pressure. So then if we take that muscle and we say, all right, so again, thinking about it as a pump, and we have pipes coming to that pump, and those pipes, it's just like you get your oil changed. Let's just say it gets, kind of clogged up. Again, that's the diabetes and cholesterol that impact the viscosity of the blood flow. Again, that's an area that if you have that risk factor, I would implore you to kind of work on, getting those things down, i.e. cholesterol, i.e., blood sugar. And then the final thing, as you mentioned, is exercise. What exercise does, it strengthens the heart. Unfortunately, we can't get that muscle back, but what we can do is make the muscle that you have work better, work more efficiently. And by doing that, it improves where you see yourself, 5, 10, 12 months down the road. And then when you come back, you can look at that. What I usually tell my patients, again, this is because I have somewhat of a sports background, is to set targets. It's hard to hit a goal if you don't know what you're shooting for. So what I tell them to do, I say, all right, your blood pressure is 150 today, systolic. That's that top limit. And I say, we want you at 130. So how about over the next 4 weeks, the way that we get there is to try to lose a pound, a half a pound a week. And then when you come back, we'll see where we are. And I guarantee you that once you lose 10 pounds, again, that number is going to drop at least 2 to 4 millimeters of mercury. Once we get, go ahead.
Now I see why the doctor's trying to tell me lose some weight.
But actually, I didn't want to say that biggest impactor because, again, adipose tissue or fat tissue impacts your blood pressure because, again, it's a pressure phenomenon. But then it also secretes hormones, and those hormones, aren't the ones that we necessarily want. What it does is it tells your body that you need to eat more. You say, well, Dr. Best, you just told me that I had fat. Why would I need to eat more? Well, those cells don't really process the insulin and different things that you have in your body, so it blunts your body's own response, so your body's own knowledge of utilizing the materials that you already have. So it thinks you're starving, even though you may be a bit overweight. So what we advocate, again, first off, is weight loss. Again, while you're still taking all those medications, your baby aspirin, your cholesterol, those type things, but while you're doing that, you're giving your body a better opportunity to recognize things when they're going wrong and also improve your overall general health.
Now, what type of vitamins should we be taking, or does vitamins help, or help me?
The vitamin question, again, as much as I am a health advocate, unfortunately, just due to limited data, we don't have a whole lot of information. Again, when I say information, I mean randomized controlled clinical trials that would advocate the use of any one vitamin in particular. We talked about the Atkins diet and how that has its shortcomings. But with vitamins, because we don't know, we know that some vitamins in excess can actually cause problems. And in their deficiencies, they can also do that. So again, it's limited in regards to what one health organization would say, but what we say is as long as you're eating a balanced, healthy diet, and a multivitamin would be reasonable. But other than that, I wouldn't say take vitamin, take all of this, take all of that. Just because, again, there aren't any randomized controlled clinical trials, and the data at this point is mixed, and overall the study population has been relatively small and homogeneous. So.
Now, Doctor, last questions I want to ask is, you've been very helpful to be able to help us keep smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And, as Kirk is saying, but is there a number that we can be able to reach you, or can we get in touch with you? Or?
Well, I would, again, just because of the nature of my work, it's difficult to contact me personally. But what I would say is contacting the American Heart Association in your area or your local area probably is a good way to get, if you can go online, to get free online patient information activities, free online information in regards to what goals or targets you should be shooting for. And again, I think that's education is going to be the start, because once you know what you have to do, and I hate to say that, the onus is on you. Ultimately it's up to you, and if I can give you all the information you want, and I can point my finger all I want, but ultimately it's going to be you that have to make those lifestyle changes to improve your lifestyle down the road.
You've been listening to, I almost said Pastor Bass, from the American Heart Association, and we want you to know that we thank you for coming, and we're not through because she's coming back, and she's going to share with us a little bit more right after this. So don't go away. And once again, we thank you, Dr. Bate.
Thank you.
For coming in, and we'll be hearing more from you as we continue to be on the #1 gospel station right here in San Antonio, your station, KROV 91.7 HD2 FM. So don't go away. We have much, much more.